Okay, so workshop number 4, simplifying polynomials, part 2. The difference between these two is we have some more terms in our polynomials. Okay, but the process is going to be the same. So again, these are the workshop expressions. So I'm going to answer these 4 questions here using these 4 polynomials. Then on the next page, on page 25, you will answer the same 4 questions except using these 4 polynomials. Okay? And again, once you answer these, I'll enter that in as a quiz grade, which will be nice for your for the grade book. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with question number 1. So question number 1 says to calculate an expression in terms of x to represent this. So 2 times a plus b, and I've color coordinated these here, purple, red, orange, blue. Okay, so I have 2 times a, which is our purple one here. So just copying this and putting it down there, plus b, and b is our red one there. Okay, then I have plus 2 times c plus d. All right, so just writing our expression out here. Okay, first step that I'd like you to do is to simplify what is inside these parentheses. Remember, we're doing the opposite of PEMDAS, or we're doing PEMDAS. So we start with our parentheses or our groups. So we're looking inside of here. Okay, so if I look inside of here, I've got some x squareds there. I have some x's, or just one x, and then I have some constants. All right, so that side of the expression simplifies to 6x squared plus 12x plus 20. Okay, then moving over to the next one, I've got a couple x squareds there. That makes 2x squared. I have some x's. That makes 4 plus 2 is 6. And then I just have my constant, which I drop down there. All right, so that's my simplification step. You can already see inside these parentheses, it looks a little bit cleaner and neater. Next step is to then do the exponents. There are no exponents here. Okay, then we do the multiplication. So the multiplication step is this 2 here. So what we need to do is we need to distribute that 2 and multiply it by every term inside. All right, so if we do that, we get 2 times 6, 2 times 12, and 2 times 20. All right, so looking down here, we have 2 times 6 is 12x squared, 2 times 12 is 24, and then I just drop the x down, and 2 times 20 is 40. Okay, then I move on to the next one. I no longer need those parentheses. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 6 is 12, and 2 times 8 is 16. Okay, so there we go. We've done our multiplication. We've gotten rid of that 2. Basically, we've doubled everything inside of here. And then again, I'm going to go and try and simplify. Right, so we've already done the multiplication. Next step in PEMDAS is addition and subtraction. So I'm looking for those like terms. So here's some x squareds. All right. So if I combine those, I have 12 plus 4 gives me 16x squareds. 24 plus 12 gives me 36x's, and 40 plus 16 gives me 56. And there's my final answer. So we went from this big, ugly thing up here down to something a lot more manageable, smaller, and neater. All right, so there's the first one. Okay, so let's take a look at this next one here. Same idea, except now we're going to subtract this 2 times c plus d. Okay, this quantity here. So the difference between these two is this subtraction here. The rest of that's going to start out the same, which means that my simplification inside of here is going to be the same as it was right here. All right, so this next line is going to look exactly the same as this line here. The only difference, again, is I have that minus 2 instead of a plus 2. Okay, so now step 3, or this line here, was to distribute the 2, so I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, and you're going to get the same result as we got here. All right, so that 12x squared plus 24x plus 40. Then over here, I'm distributing a negative 2, so I'm going to make sure I multiply each of these things inside by not positive 2 like we did here, but by a negative 2. So negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Negative 2 times positive 6 is negative 12, and negative 2 times 8 is negative 16. Okay, and then the next step is the same as above. We're going to simplify. So I have 12x squared minus 4x squared gives me 8. X squared, 24x minus 12x gives me 12x. And then 40 minus 16 gives me 24. And there we go. There's our simplified expression right there. Okay, so the next one, we're going to do some multiplication. So we're going to multiply a times b and then add c plus d. All right, so I've written that down over here. Okay, so here's a times b, and then here is c times d. So a little bit more involved here, okay, because what we need to do is we're going to do a lot of distribution. Okay, so when we do our multiplication, first thing I'm going to check is to see if I can simplify inside of any of these parentheses, and I can't. And you notice that I wrote parentheses to group our A, B, C, and D together. Okay, so make sure those groups are separating it. All right, so we're going to do our distribution. So I'm going to take this 4x squared, and I'm going to multiply it by everything inside. Okay, and if you do that, we're going to get a lot down here. Okay, I have 4x squared times 2x squared, which gives me 8x. And because we're multiplying an x squared, multiplying an x squared and an x squared, we add up the exponents. So we have 4, right? 2 groups here, 2 groups here. Add those together, that means we have 4 groups right there. Okay, so I have 8x to the 4th. And then I have 4x squared times 18x, or 18. So 4 times 18 is 72. And then I just carry down that x squared. So there's my first distribution right there. Okay. Then I'm going to do it again for this 12. Okay, this 12x. So I'm going to go 12x times 2x squared, 12x times 18. So 12 times 2 is 24. And then again, I have 1x here, 2x is over here. So that gives me 3 x's in total. Okay, so 1 group plus 2 groups is 3 groups of x's, so x cubed. And then 12 times our 18 right here. 12 times 18 is 216. And then I have that x. So there we go. There's our multiplication. Now, there's a third term in here, so we need to do it again. So 2 times 2x squared and 2 times 18. So 2 times 2 is 4x squared, and 2 times 18 is 36. Okay, so we distributed 3 terms inside of there, and we got 3 of those expressions right here. Then we need to do the same thing again over on the other side. All right, so let's see if we can find even more colors here. So I'm going to take this x squared, distribute it in. Okay, let's make this nice and big since we're going to do it again. Okay, so x squared times x squared gives me that x to the 4th. Okay, 1 times 1, and then I add up the exponents. Then x squared times 2x. Well, 2 times 1 is just our 2 there. And then x squared times x gives me x cubed. So there's my first orange term. All right, let's get another one in here. Let's choose, I don't know, this red color. So I have 4x, and again, we're going to distribute to both of these terms here. Okay, so 4x times, remember there's a 1 in front of here. So 4 times 1 is 4. And then x squared times x squared, or x times x squared is x cubed. And then 4x times is 2x. 4 times 2 is 8. X times x is x squared. So there's our 8x squared right there. And then I need to do it one more time. So I'm going to take this 8, and I'm going to multiply it by everything inside. You can see this takes a lot of steps. So 8 times 1 is just 8. And then I drop down that x squared. 8 times 2 is 16. And I drop down that x. So again, I distributed these 3 terms, and I've got these 3 expressions here. Okay. Next step is to try and combine all those. So I'm going to erase this because I've already color coordinated. Okay, so looking for my x to the 4th, I look for the highest exponent first, x to the fourth, and then here, this other one here is an x to the fourth. Okay, so 8 plus 1 gives me 9x to the fourth. Then I look for my cubes. There's a 3, there's a 3, there's a 3. So 24 plus 2 plus 4 gives me 30. X cubed. Now we don't add the exponents here because we're just looking for like terms. All this cube tells me is that we can add or subtract those coefficients, those numbers in front. Okay, so then I have my squareds, these blue ones. Okay, so 72 plus 4 plus 8 gives me 92x squared. I look for my x's, gives me 232, and then I only have one constant, which is my 36, and there's my simplified solution there. Okay, next one looks very similar again. The only difference is we're going to use subtraction. Good news is that because we've already done all this distribution, we could just use this again, but we just need to make sure that we're using a minus sign when we're going to do the combination. So what I do, okay, so this first line here is going to be the exact same as this first line here, right? Because we're multiplying the same two polynomials a times b together. So that's really nice. Now, this second line, okay, because I have a plus there, I was able just to write a positive here for all of these because these are all positive inside of here. This minus sign, once I do this multiplication, okay, and if I take all of this here, and I'll just show you what that looks like, okay? If I take all of this here and I do the multiplication, there is still going to be that minus sign. So when I think about distributing a negative sign, a minus sign, it means all these signs here are going to switch. Negatives go to positive, positive go to negative. So what that looks like down here is the same as this, except I switch all those signs, and because these are all positive, these are all going to be negatives. Okay, and then again I look for my like terms, combine the x force. Now this time instead of 8 plus 1, I have 8 minus 1, so I get 7. Look for my cubes, okay, and so forth. I think you get the idea. We're looking for those like terms, and this is our result. Okay, and there you go. That is our second workshop to the simplifying polynomials, the fourth workshop for this unit. So again, what you're going to do is the same questions, except you're going to use these expressions on the next page in page 25. Okay, as always, see me if you need some help. I know it's a lot of work, and a lot of it's keeping track of those signs. All right, good luck.